Hey, what's up, guys? This is Mitchell with FF Real Talk, and I just did the waiver additions video a few minutes ago, and right now I'm doing a short video to give you some tips for targeting trades. As I said in the last video, at noon, I don't know if it's Eastern or Pacific time tomorrow, the trade deadlines for standard ESPN leagues is over. So that means you have a window that's very short to try to get someone to pull off a trade. And at this point, any teams that's fair to middling in terms of if you're like 6-5 or maybe even 5-6 and you're trying to get into the playoffs, or you're a team that's definitely about in and you're 7-4 or 8-3 or better, and you want to just solidify a position you have, you need to be trying to make moves, and you got to do it fast. I made a trades video earlier when I started my channel, and it gave a whole lot of strategies on how to do trades. A lot of them won't be working for this because a lot of trades is posturing and holding a stance and throwing out a trade and then rejecting that one and throwing out another one. They reject that one and throwing out another one, trying to beat them to death with offers until they take one. You don't have time for that. You have got to get it right one time to entice them. Hopefully they accept it. And it's going to be real shots in the dark because a lot of these aren't going to be able to be done. But in case you're trying to pull off a truly last minute trade, here's a few tips for you. Target middling on the bubble teams with standard deals, meaning a team that's 6-5, a team that's 5-6. Start targeting them with basic deals that you would target. This player for this player, something that might entice them. When I say standard deals, I'm saying you got a good player in one position that they need. They got a good player in one position you need. Y'all just want to do a quick switch out. If they're in playoff contention, they've been paying attention this season and they're active, so they might want to do it. And you have been paying attention and you're active, so you definitely want to do it. Try to make something happen with them. They might be like, yeah, bet, let's go and do it now. And then it's done. That's the people that's going to be paying attention the most. The reason why you want to target them is because I'll get to that in a minute, why you want to not necessarily target the top level teams immediately. But the second point I'm going to get to is before you target the top level teams with trades, target the bum teams out there next after the middling teams and target them with decent deals as well. Some people would think, man, I want to target the bum teams now. Anybody who's out of playoff contention, they don't even need their players. They'll just let them go. Here's the thing with that. Two things for one. One, if they're not in playoff contention, a lot of the times is because they haven't been paying attention anyway all season, or if they had paid attention and are now out of contention, they now don't care. If that's the case, that means even if you send out messages, they are likely not to respond because they're not active anymore. And you don't have time to send a bunch of emails. So the thing is, bad teams aren't paying much attention. And the other thing about them is if you get a bad team to pay attention, you don't want to just offer crap out there to them to get a good player. Like, say you want a real good quarterback that they have and they're 3 and something, they're 2 and something. You don't want to offer a player like Trey Mason for Aaron Rodgers. Even if that guy accepts that trade, you better believe before this deadline hits, 4 people that see that are going to knock that trade down. If you get a bad team to bite, offer them still something decent. And I'll give you a perfect example. I pulled off one last night. I traded Matt Ryan and Odell Beckham to a team that's pretty much out of contention for Aaron Rodgers. Very good trade on my part. That trade was basically Odell Beckham from Aaron Rodgers. Matt Ryan was about to be a waiver fodder for me anyway. And Odell Beckham, although I loved to have him, that's a team where I had Josh Gordon, and I'm set at receiver. So that trade worked brilliantly for me. But if I didn't put in 2 players, it's very well that they would have vetoed that. You want to avoid this. You don't want to throw out a trade that even has the possibility of being vetoed because you don't have time to do another one. So get it right the first time. Offer enough to get one of those bum teams to deal with you, but offer enough to where it can't be looked at as collusion or folding and just throwing out crap and it gets vetoed. Avoid it. Number 3, avoid targeting the good teams all the way around. When you got a good team out there, and if you're a good team, it's a lot of chess going on. It's a whole lot of posturing. You're going to be like, no, I don't want to give up nothing. And they're going to be like, no, I don't want to give up nothing. And this is time sensitive. You don't have time to play bluff games. You cannot play poker right now. It's just more or less about a half a day left. So it's time to get things moving, and you don't want to play with a team that's good. If you do try to do something, they're may take it, they may not, but the thing is, they're thinking they don't want to help you get any better, and you're thinking you don't want to help their team get any better. That's why it's almost a waste of time to do it. If they're good, they're set for a reason. If you're good, you're set for a reason. Y'all won't be doing much of helping each other. So just target middling teams and bum teams, straight up. The thing about trades too is improve your team first, win this trade second. I had said in my trade video before that it's all about getting the best player in a deal. That's when you got time to play around and got more players on the wire to see what pops off. We're at the end of the line on every level now. Right now, if you see a move that you maybe have to give up a better player to improve your team, then so be it. You may have to do so. If you're set at running back or set at receiver, and say a team out there, one player has Aaron Rodgers and Drew Brees. He doesn't need both. And Drew Brees hasn't been great this year, but you know Drew Brees is going to be better than anyone on the wire and anyone you have. If you had to trade Odell Beckham or somebody like that for Drew Brees, you might have to do it. You're not winning the trade because Odell Beckham is been producing and has been producing at a better rate than Drew Brees, but you need a quarterback. So even getting a quarterback that's not that we know Drew Brees' pedigree. So you might have to let go of a better player to hammer down a position you're extremely weak at. So my whole theory of trades, first and foremost, is always get the best player in the trade. In this situation, when we're one day away, it's not so much so. Try to improve your team first, win the deal second. Evaluate your lineup and your usage. Since the buys are nearly over, you're going to have the pick of the litter of your entire squad starting week 13. Starting week 13, there won't be any, okay, I got to set this lineup because this many people are on buys. From starting week 13, you're going to have every player that you have to pick from, and it makes selecting or maximizing your team harder. Look at your running back 3 and your running back 4 and beyond. See if they're good players, you might be able to move even your running back 3 or your running back 2 or your wide receiver 3 or 2. If say your running back 3, your running back 4 and your wide receiver 4 is still a good player, you might want to risk moving one of your better running backs, your running back 2 or running back or wide receiver 2, to make somebody pounce on giving you an improved position because your running back and wide receiver 4 is good. If that's going to get somebody to bite on giving you something you need tonight, you might need to offer a better player in your tier. So let's say you drafted well and you got Antonio Brown is your number 1. You got let's start over. Let's say you've got Calvin as your number 1, Brandon Marshall as your number 2. Your number 3 is, say, I don't know, Can't think of nobody right now. Roddy White, and let's say number 4 is Odell Beckham Jr. that you got off waivers. So you got, what did I say? Brandon Marshall. What did I say? Brandon Marshall, Antonio Brown, Roddy White, and Odell Beckham. Okay, we now know that Odell Beckham is good, and we know how solid he is. Roddy White is starting to come on. Brandon Marshall hasn't been doing so good, but you know he's seeing improvement. If you need a number 1 quarterback, and say Peyton Manning is out there or something like that, and somebody who has Peyton has another stud guy like, say, Andrew Luck, or somebody has Aaron Rodgers and they have Andrew Luck as well. If you got to trade Antonio Brown to get Andrew Luck because your quarterback situation is bad, I trade Antonio Brown for that, knowing that I have Marshall, Roddy White, although Marshall ain't been great, but Marshall, Roddy White, and Odell Beckham, because my 4th receiver right there is good enough, but who they're gonna want to make this trade is Antonio Brown. If I got to trade Antonio Brown to get Luck because my quarterback position is bad, or trade Antonio Brown to get Aaron Rodgers or whoever, and my quarterback position is bad, go ahead and do it, because quarterback is what's going to win you these playoff situations, unless they start getting into that situation where they start resting players, and that happens. That's a whole nother thing. But if your 4th receiver is good, but you know you can't use him enough to do a 1-and-1, use a higher guy. That was the whole point of the whole thing. The illustration I did wasn't the best. I apologize for that. Right now I can't think of 4 great players to line up against each other. But if your 4th receiver, you've come along and you've earned like a Mike Evans or even a Josh Gordon, or you have Odell Beckham Jr., that's your 4th receiver, use one of the guys that has been blowing up all season, that's at like your wide receiver number 1 or 2, trade them to get a stud to improve, because your receiver core is still fine. That's the thing that I was trying to illustrate with all of that I just went around. And finally, make a good offer the first time. You don't have time for counter offers. You don't have time to debate. You don't have time for back and forth. You do not. You need to get this right the first time. Throw out things that's going to make sense to them the first time. Get it right and right now, they're going to know the trade day. If they care, they're going to know the trade deadline just like you do. Throw out something that'll entice them so that this will be over. If not, you're not going to get a trade. Hopefully you're at this point in the season where you're not in the pinch to where you have to do a trade. But any of us can make our teams better. And right now, I got a lot of them out there trying to field them right now. I've only pulled off 1. Hopefully some will bite before the deadline tomorrow. And these are just a few tips that'll help you be able to make a few trades if you're in the market to do so. So hopefully that helps. If you got any questions, hit me up on Twitter. If you want to leave any comments here, do so. And best of luck with that. Again, tomorrow at noon is the deadline. So happy trading if you're going to make it happen. Have a good one.